Hey folks, I'm back again to finish off what we started last week, which is to redo the steampunk tank. We're making Wabi-Kusa bricks. Basically, the plan was to make a pyramid, and last week I made these sort of unconventional Wabi-Kusa balls. I also made a number of, I guess, pretty standard Wabi-Kusa balls, and I might kind of see how they turned out. They've dried out now, and they feel pretty hard. I still think they'd be too brittle. Like if I dig into these, I'm afraid it might be too brittle. But what we're going to do now is we're going to pull these out and see how we did. See if they come out and what they look like. I'm hoping that they just kind of pop out of here and it's no big deal to get them out. Nothing's popping out so far. Okay, there's that one. Pushing on this one a little bit here. So far, so good. This one looks all right. Come out in one piece, please. I'm having to work it just a little bit. Oh, I don't know. Okay. A little dirty, but well, I have a brick. So that kind of worked, I guess. Let's see the big one. This is the important one here. The others are, I guess, could be important too. Boom. Oh, see, you got a fair amount of it left behind on here. That's not good. Yeah, I have a feeling if I was to dig into this, it would be an issue. And I've got lots of crumblies going on all around me here. Let's kind of stack these on and see. But here is our pyramid. It's not perfect. This one on top, I wish it was a little bit more narrow. Maybe I could trim it or something. Or I wish I had like maybe two of these. I guess I could do it like that too. But like this would get it up nice and tall. Yeah. It would have been interesting to have this with a little bit better shapes and stuff. It might even be worth redoing in the future. But this will be good enough for our experiment today and to see how this works. So now I guess the goal is to take this and swap it out with what we got going on in there and kind of replant the Wabi-Kusa tray with the plants that are going in there. I might even pull some back out of the other aquarium that I put aside. If you remember from last week, or if you don't want to watch all of last week, I also made an order from buseplant.com. I had some buse in there already, but I wanted to get some big clumps, and I ordered like 5 bags or so of these clumps of buse, of different types of buse. Buse in nature grows on along riverbeds or along streams, like on rocks and things like that. So it gets submerged and then it's out of the water, and then it's submerged and then it's out. So it's continually in and out. And I think in there, in a nice humid environment, attached to some stuff that's also wet and getting water wicked up from inside the tray, I think that will be a more similar environment for buse than inside of an aquarium. It seems to me, and I could be wrong, but it seems to me like what's happening with buse is it survives in your aquarium and maybe even can adapt like a lot of other plants do to your environment underwater, but it's probably more natural for it to be actually in a really humid environment just above the water. So we're going to see if that works in there. And if it does, then I'll have a really interesting way to grow buse, and I can enjoy the plant finally, instead of just planting it, trying to keep algae away from it long enough for it to survive and kind of grow slowly over the years. I've had a couple of plants do really well underwater, but I've added CO2, I've added lots of light and other things. I've tried a lot of different things, and none of them grow like, let's say, Anubias grow for me, or a lot of other plants that just are real easy to grow. they're a tricky one, and wanting to grow them well is kind of what inspired this project, just to see if I could do it a little bit better. The other thing that's going on, so in the steampunk tank, I've let a couple of different plants grow. There's some anubias in there, and I've just kind of let it go, and it's too big for the it's too big for the tray. It's blocking up all the light. I even took my light and I kind of moved it off sideways so that the brand new buse that I put in there would get some light. But it definitely has to come out. I've also been growing another plant in there that's done super well, and that is a cardinal plant. The problem with the cardinal plants is they grow really well and they kind of block and shade out everything else. So I think what I'm going to do, I'm kind of nervous about doing this too, but I think what I'm going to do is I'm going to pull that Anubias plant out. I'm going to pull his cardinal plants out. I might still put some cardinal plants in around the edges. Like, I'm scared to take out everything that I know is filtering the water. Yeah, I'm just Yeah, you can see the old Wabi-Kusa balls are kind of losing their form a little bit too. With lots of good plants on them and stuff, I'm going to have to go and pick all these plants off of here. Some of them won't be too hard because I've just added them, but there's a lot of good plants on here. In fact, it's all just kind of coming off, so I'm just going to go ahead and do that. And some moss. These are fairly large Wabi-Kusa balls. That's how they held up over the years. They've been in there a good long time. Looks like the bottom part's degraded a little bit over time. Yeah, some of this stuff may not be all that great. That one was actually attached. That must have been an older one. There's some moss on here too. We're going to grab that. The cardinal plants out of there. Some more buse here and there. For the most part, the buse I added seems to still be doing okay. This one looks a little bit more shriveled up than the others, but yeah, I think for the most part it's doing all right. Well, I'm excited. I'll have quite a bit of buse to work with. I think all of this is Anubias. There's another little bits of buse here and there underneath. Over the years, I put lots of stuff in here to see how it did, and sometimes there'll be little remnants of it here and there. There's actually there's like that much of a gravel bed in here, and I'm hoping that this will kind of keep the good bacteria and save me from like destroying my filter when I do this project. So here's hoping to that. Kind of look at that. Oh, it's going to fit great. Okay. If I can just get it in there without breaking it. Oh yeah. Very nice. I think that will do nicely. I wonder if I should have put something underneath it. I want to make sure there's enough of it in here to like absorb the water, but I kind of wish I'd made something underneath it to kind of run back and forth. But all right, I finished this little pyramid off here. We got the middle section and the top section. I wish this was like ice cube size. It would be better. I might go back and replace this one later. We'll see. In fact, I could probably just do this. I'll build it up a little bit taller. Alright, now let's see what kind of plants I can attach to this. Alright, we have our stack here. And I guess next will be, let's move this. Let's get this out of the way. Figuring out how to attach all this stuff. My plan right now is just to kind of place it and hope that it grows a little taller. Oh. Maybe I can use this shelf. I'm going to take one leaf and pinch it. I'll use this shelf to kind of like prop up this stuff. It's kind of funny too because, you know, I made all this work to make this shape, but I'm not too worried about this shape because you're not going to see much of it. If this works out great, it's going to be all abuse plants of different types. So really all I need to do is make sure it's all covered nicely. I'll work on both sides here. In theory, what I probably should have done is covered this with some moss. I don't have a lot of moss right now. I usually do, but you could cover this whole thing in moss. But a lot of people will cover their Wabi-Kusa balls in moss and they kind of dig into it. I'm not going to dig into mine at all. I'm going to try to just let that happen. I've noticed if I just kind of put the plants on here, they will do all the digging for me. Just as they go to grow and stuff. There's a little clump. And these with the the longer stems, I'm going to put the stem down in the water. And then the rest of it just on this ledge. Hopefully when this grows it'll look really interesting. I've got a lot of different types of buce here. Like at least 4. Because I had some buce in here already before I added these, these other varieties. Tell you what, there are definitely times when trying new stuff is just really scary, and there's some of these things, like a lot of this buce is pretty expensive, and I completely understand if you'd be scared to try one of these projects, but you gotta branch out whenever you can and do different things. It's doubly tough when you have a YouTube channel because you're really putting yourself out there. You're potentially about to humiliate yourself at any moment. So I try to do my best to figure out really smart ways to do things and things that'll be helpful to other people. I'm sorry, you can't see what I'm doing over here, but it's just the same. I'm finding stuff that I'm just kind of seeing how it lays and seeing what would be best. Where possible, I'd like to start it in the water and like kind of lay it across the top of here just to make sure that it doesn't dry out. I'm hoping this will wick the water just like the other ones did and it'll all work out. Or just the general humidity will keep it nice and moist all through here, but it's kind of hard to tell. I've got a little bit of like this hydrocotyle. I can't remember if that's Taiwan or Japan or what. I've got a little hydrocotyle. I'm going to put it in there too. This stuff goes crazy sometimes and eventually I have to pull it out. But boy, what a great filter it is. Same's true with this cardinal plant. It does just super well. But I really want to keep this just the buce, so I'm going to just leave it off. I'm super tempted to put it in because I know it works, but just finding some less than ideal leaves and stuff. I'm going to go ahead and pull that. Make sure it's got the best chance to grow. And then just graft it onto the side of one of these areas here. And I haven't pinned anything down. I'm just placing it. I'm just placing it. In fact, I think this might work pretty good right up here. I want to run that's, yeah. Put you right on top. We'll know if this works pretty soon by how dry this thing gets. There were a couple of smaller ones I've just kind of put into the side here along the edges. They're just little tiny little sprigs. They might do better just trying to grow out, so I'm going to put them on the window side so they get extra light. Let's see if I can grow them out. That will fit on the ledge right there. I think what I might do is I might come back in here with some moss and put over the top of this thing at the very top, and then add this back on. I'm going to let it stay for now. See how it fits with this on top. Seems to work just fine. Well, a whole lot more empty in here than it used to be, that's for sure. I'm going to wipe off this glass real quick. I'll situate the light back on here. And now we can put it on like it's supposed to be. Okay. Alright, and there we have it. A little Wabi-Kusa Pyramid there. Made of buse and dirt and sphagnum moss. Not super impressive right now. In person, I think it looks a lot better than I'm seeing through my viewfinder. But I'm hoping that if this works and this grows like I hope it will, this should be a really cool mound of buse in a few months. So we're gonna be sure to check back and see how this one worked. Hey, just a quick update. It's been 2 days since I planted this. You can see the humidity's kind of developed all over the glass, and it's also developed all over the inside of there. The bricks appear to be wet, so the wicking is working. Nothing's dying out like the plant. It's kind of hard to see it in here, but the plant on top, which should be like in the most danger of like drying out, seems to be fine. And all the little secondary plants around the perimeter, like I said, again, it's hard to see with the humidity, but all these plants around the perimeter are also doing great. As I said earlier, with my eyes, this looks really neat. It doesn't look so great in camera, but it's going to be, I think that this is going to be a really cool little thing moving forward. I can't wait to see what this looks like in a few weeks. I think my big thing that didn't happen with this that I wanted to is I wanted it to be higher. I wanted it to be kind of like maybe all the way up into here. And but I was scared that this wouldn't work or that the things wouldn't go. But what's great is they're just stacked on top. So what I might do is give this a few weeks, see how it does, and I might make some smaller versions, like really stair step it up and tier it up a little bit more, and see if I can get that height like all the way up into here. Buse with its little short leaves and stuff, it's not going to go and just like stick to the glass like the Anubias did. So I'm hoping I can make this even have more of a visual impact by bringing this up, but I'm going to wait, give it a few weeks, and really make sure this is working out before I go there. And there we go. Thankfully very short. Part 2 to my Wabi-Kusa bricks video. I made an insanely detailed video about how I made these bricks, so if you're curious about making your own Wabi-Kusa balls or these things, you can check that out. Also, there are timestamps in there, so if there's very specific things that you want to know, hopefully I've designated those areas for you as well. I'd like to take a second and thank my Patreons that have looked out for me and are trying to take care of this show. This is my last month on Patreon, but I really appreciate it. You guys have helped me out quite a bit. This Buse order came directly from that Patreon money, and you know, it made a big difference right here at Christmas time, and I really appreciate that. I'll be back next week with another video. I think what I'm going to do is maybe a big, maybe I'll clean up all the tanks and the terrariums and everything and just do a whole huge end of the year tour for all my stuff. Folks always like those videos, and it sounds like a great way to wrap up the year. So thanks so much for showing up. If you haven't subscribed already, I'd love to see you again. Be sure to hit subscribe. I really make a wide variety of videos. They're not no videos particularly like another video, so you get a good mix of different things. Maybe there's something you like. But until next time, follow your bliss, keep a clean tank, and I'll see you soon. If you'd like more information on the steampunk tank, you can click up here. If you'd like to see something the algorithm has decided that is perfect for you, you can click over there. And I'll be back soon with more videos, as always. Bye-bye.